probably has a pass for this season, but certainly with Jimmy's track record, and certainly with how things have been so bad this year, I think that's a possibility to change.
Anthony, I'm like, I could absolutely see a total house cleaning. And it could happen before the end of the year. The best team in the NFC, or definitely top 3 in the NFC. So they're probably going to lose again, and they're probably going to get blown out at home.
Breaking news out of Cleveland. The Browns are reportedly considering parting ways with head coach Kevin Stefanski, and according to multiple sources, this could happen sooner rather than later. In fact, the upcoming game against the Dolphins might just be Stefanski's last as the Browns head coach. With the offense continuing to struggle and the team's track record worsening by the week, it seems like the pressure is mounting. Could this be the end of Stefanski's tenure in Cleveland? Stay tuned, because things are about to get interesting. According to reports from within the Browns, a change is coming, and Kevin Stefanski appears to be the most likely candidate to face the axe. Garrett Bush emphasized that with the team's ongoing losing streak, a move is unavoidable, and someone will inevitably lose their job. As owner, Jimmy Haslam is not in the hot seat, and he has the influence to shake things up in the locker room if necessary. It's becoming increasingly clear that Stefanski's time in Cleveland may be running out. Despite all the pressure surrounding him, Kevin Stefanski's stance remains firm. He continues to stand by Dillon Gabriel, maintaining that the young quarterback is a work in progress. In a recent press conference, Stefanski emphasized that his priority is Gabriel's long-term development. He stressed that patience is key for a player in this phase of his career, pointing out that Gabriel is still learning and improving. Stefanski downplayed any current shortcomings, framing them as natural parts of the developmental journey.
And his name is in the mud, and people catch on that you trying to tank, you will become a sacrificial lamb. The collateral damage of losing, someone's gonna pay for it. It ain't gonna be him, he owned the team, but somebody will fall.
Yeah, I think just the big focus for us, Mary Kay, is we have to be better in all areas, players, coaches, you name it. Obviously, Dillon is in his second start. Some good things to build off of. He's learning just like all young players.
However, this unwavering support for Gabriel is starting to backfire. Fans, who have seen the Browns struggle week after week, are growing increasingly frustrated. Analysts are questioning Stefanski's ability to adapt and make the necessary adjustments. The question on everyone's mind is whether his commitment to Gabriel, despite the growing losses, is a sign of stubbornness or a genuine belief in the quarterback's potential. As the losses pile up, Stefanski's stance is becoming harder to justify, and the pressure to make a change is only intensifying. Even some players are beginning to speak out against Stefanski's approach. Myles Garrett, the Browns' standout defensive player, has voiced his frustration, sparking a lot of attention. Garrett openly criticized Stefanski for the team's ongoing struggles, even calling out the coach for not having Shedeur Sanders on the roster. Clearly frustrated, Garrett expressed his dissatisfaction with the offensive play calling, and specifically questioned the decision to stick with Dillon Gabriel as the starting quarterback. The All-Pro defensive end vented about the exhausting cycle of losses, sharing how mentally draining it's been to see the same disappointing results week after week.
Yeah, it's frustrating. It's frustrating. To lose the same way every time, it's frustrating as hell.
Sources are reporting that team owner Jimmy Haslam is growing frustrated with Stefanski's unwillingness to explore other options, especially as the Browns continue to struggle and players have started voicing their concerns. The tension within the organization is becoming increasingly apparent. During a recent press conference ahead of the Steelers game, Stefanski's refusal to even mention Shedeur Sanders raised eyebrows. This led to speculation that Stefanski may be completely closed off to the idea of bringing in Sanders, potentially overlooking a game-changing quarterback option. This situation is clearly not sitting well with Jimmy Haslam, who has been vocal about his desire to evaluate what both rookies can bring to the table. Experts have highlighted Shedeur Sanders as a key figure in this scenario, especially since it was Haslam who pushed for the move to sign Sanders in the first place. While Stefanski may have tried to shift the blame to general manager Andrew Berry, the situation is far more complex. Analysts suggest that it's Stefanski's outright dismissal of Sanders, his refusal to even consider him as a legitimate option, that is driving Haslam's growing frustration.
The consensus of the people that I've spoken to is this was 100% an owner's pick. You can look at the reactions of Andrew and Kevin, and again, their defense is that those are not synced up. That was not the actual reaction. They'll fight back on this tooth and nail that it was not a Jimmy pick. Here's the thing.
Usually when they fight back on that,
Mary Kay Cabot recently highlighted a major misstep by Stefanski in underestimating Shedeur Sanders' growing fame. According to Cabot, with a player of Sanders' caliber, it's impossible to ignore or downplay his increasing popularity. Sanders isn't just a skilled quarterback, he comes with a massive fan base. And the Browns' attempts to minimize his importance are only drawing more criticism. Rather than managing the situation, their efforts to shift focus away from Sanders have only amplified the backlash. The mounting pressure from fans and the media is becoming impossible to ignore. And it's clear this situation has evolved into more than just a football issue. It's turning into a public relations nightmare. As the tension builds, Stefanski's refusal to consider Sanders only adds fuel to the fire, and the team seems to be trapped in a growing crisis. Skip Bayless didn't hold back, suggesting that Stefanski might be trying to portray Shedeur Sanders as a spoiled, entitled player to downplay his significance and shift the focus away from him. However, Bayless quickly rejected this narrative, insisting that Sanders has never acted entitled or like a spoiled brat on the field. While Sanders does come from a wealthy background, Bayless pointed out that his actions speak louder than his upbringing. Sanders has always shown humility, and his work ethic is unquestionable. According to Bayless, Shedeur has earned his place in the spotlight through hard work and performance, not by relying on his background. This is something Jimmy Haslam and the Browns' leadership can't overlook when considering Stefanski's future with the team. With tensions rising, it's becoming clear that Haslam is weighing whether Stefanski's handling of the situation is one of the key factors in the team's ongoing struggles.
You know, people would say, well, he's a spoiled kid. You know, he was raised rich. He was raised rich, but he ain't no spoiled kid.
Right.
He doesn't act like a spoiled kid on the football field.
Right.
He's a tough kid. He looks like he's from the toughest neighborhood you could ever imagine. He just got that in his blood.
As the pressure continues to build in Cleveland, the question of Kevin Stefanski's future as head coach is reaching a boiling point. With the Browns' ongoing struggles and mounting criticism from players, fans, and analysts alike, it's clear that something needs to change. Stefanski's staunch defense of Dillon Gabriel and his refusal to consider Shedeur Sanders as a viable quarterback option has only intensified the situation. Despite his commitment to Gabriel's long-term development, it's becoming increasingly difficult to ignore the calls for change from all corners of the organization. Myles Garrett's public frustrations, Jimmy Haslam's growing dissatisfaction, and the clear divide between the coach and front office are all pointing to one undeniable reality. Stefanski's time in Cleveland may be running out. The fact that Haslam, a key figure in bringing Sanders to the team, is now facing a public relations crisis over the handling of the quarterback situation only adds to the tension. As the pressure from the media and fans mounts, the situation has transformed from a football dilemma into a full-blown crisis of leadership. The next few days will be crucial. Will Stefanski adjust his approach, or will he remain steadfast in his decisions, potentially sealing his fate? With Jimmy Haslam at the helm and a fan base growing increasingly restless, it's clear that the Browns cannot afford to let this situation drag on much longer. Stefanski's refusal to embrace change might be the final straw, and if things don't improve soon, we could be witnessing the end of his tenure as the head coach of the Cleveland Browns. So what do you think? Is Stefanski's refusal to make the necessary changes costing him his job? Do you believe sticking with Dillon Gabriel and ignoring Shedeur Sanders is a mistake? Or do you think Stefanski's focus on long-term development is the right call? With tensions mounting both inside and outside the organization, do you think Jimmy Haslam will pull the trigger and make a coaching change? How much longer can this losing streak continue before something drastic happens? Let me know your thoughts in the comments. Do you think Stefanski's time in Cleveland is running out, or is there still hope for him to turn things around?